Hi guys, good evening. This is Dr. Jenny Yusuf, physical therapist and doctor of physical therapy, creator and founder of Balance and Fall Support Group in Aging Adults, and also the CEO of Physiogen PT and Wellness. We have every Thursday what we call Thanks God It's Thursday. All right, so we highlight our innovators, academician, entrepreneur, and different therapists combined. We also have healthcare executives, anybody who's having a leadership in rehab management or anything in rehab. So for tonight, we have our CEO of PAM Rehab Sussex. And of course, he has multiple experiences in rehab and leadership management, almost 26 years in healthcare. And he is CEO for almost like more than 15 years in IRF, so 24 years all combined, right? In inpatient rehabs, LTACs. Prior to that, he's the director of HR. So it's really like a great ladder of his leadership. And he will share us his journey, a little bit of challenges, and then tips for us, especially us clinician, on how to be a better leader. And we would love to share with you as a congratulatory that we will have our PAM Rehab Hospital in Sussex this coming October. So without further ado, would love to welcome Steve Wallace. How are you, Steve? Thank
I'm
you so
good.
much. All
Thank
right.
you very much for that introduction, Jenny.
Yes, you are welcome. What did I miss? Maybe I missed something.
You didn't miss a thing with that, so thank you.
You are welcome. So, Steve, as a CEO, what are your challenges? Is or some of the wins first of being a CEO?
Well, the wins,
Yeah.
I think if when you're in administration in healthcare, if you keep it patient focused and you watch the success that your clinicians have with their patients, I mean that's where your wins are. And a feather in the cap every time you can get somebody home or see someone make a recovery, whether it's from a head injury or a devastating stroke or something like that. Those are the wins.
Yes. And how about the challenges? I know this is a tough spot, like tough job.
Well, I mean, I think the challenges are well documented, and our organization is no different. Staffing in healthcare has been a challenge well before the pandemic, and the pandemic obviously made things even more challenging. And then, of course, the regulatory environment, always, whether that's at the federal level or the state level, they're having their own budget squeezes. And so with those budget squeezes cause squeezes on the reimbursement that they can offer healthcare institutions. And these are ongoing challenges that have been since I've joined the industry and have only been more highlighted with every passing year.
Wow. Yeah. So with all these challenges and then of course the passion for youth, why you're choosing like IRFs and what is the difference between the subacutes, because we
Well,
talk about the acute rehab and subacute rehab.
well, I have been in acute rehab almost my entire career. I would say 90% of my time has been in acute rehab. I found the niche very early on out of college, interning at an IRF. And I think what I enjoy most about that specific niche in healthcare is you get to see the recovery. To have an 80 to 85% success rate in healthcare is something to be very proud of. When working in, whether it's in an LTAC setting or an acute hospital setting or a long-term care setting, you just don't get as many wins as you do in the acute setting, in the acute rehab setting, where you get to see therapists and nurses and doctors work with these success stories and get patients back home and back to what their lives were before whatever incident brought them into the hospital. So I think that's why I've stuck in that industry my entire career.
Yeah, that's really good. Thank you so much for sharing, Steve, your experiences, a little bit of background. But first of all, congratulations. I know you're very busy recently in trying to prepare the upcoming opening of the post-acute medical or PAM Rehab Hospital in Sussex. So right now, guys, I'm one of the team lead of physical therapists in PAM in Sussex. We are in partnership of one of the biggest hospital here in Delaware, in Sussex. So right now we will have our own hospital. So tell us more about that, Steve. God,
So
I think the
yeah,
floor.
Yeah, as you mentioned, we right now we manage the acute rehab unit for Bay Health. PAM and Bay Health are joint venture partners on that unit, and within the next month or two, hopefully before the end of October, we'll have everything lined up that we will be moving that unit to a new freestanding building on Bay Health's campus outside of Milford, Delaware, in Sussex County. So we'll be our own. We'll move that 40-bed unit out of the Bay Health Hospital into the freestanding building. So that's the goal. The other goal, of course, with that move is to maintain the same high level of care that we've been able to achieve with the joint venture partner with Bay Health. We've been doing really well this year, about 86% discharge community rate. And like I said, the goal is to be able to replicate that exact same level of care once we're in the freestanding building. And then obviously, hopefully, this assists Bay Health. They'll be able to convert that unit to some more acute hospital operations as the Sussex County is growing by leaps and bounds. So that it will be a win-win for both partners, as we'll have the new freestanding building and they'll have additional space in our hospital to be able to meet community needs.
Yes, yes, because the fourth floor will be another spot for the Bay Health that will be able to serve more people. So what are the cases or different diagnoses that we usually admit, Steve?
Our number one diagnosis, I would say, is stroke. Unfortunately, with everything that has gone on from the obesity epidemic and the diabetic epidemic in this country that have just grown, one of the unfortunate results of that is strokes. So I would say that is our number one diagnosis. Number two is hip fracture. It's no secret that Sussex County has a very large and growing Medicare population, patients over the age of 65, especially with towns like Ocean View, Milton. These towns are growing, and lots of communities of 55 plus. So with this, unfortunately, comes some falls and stuff. So a hip fracture would probably be our number two diagnosis. Then after that, we see a wide range of populations. We deal with a large neurological population, a lot of Parkinson's patients. I mentioned the diabetic and obesity patients causing stroke, but another side effect of that is also the amputation population. We see a fair number of post-amputation patients. Some of those are long-term amputees that are retraining on with new limbs. Some of them are brand new amputees. And then we just see what I would classify as a miscellaneous population. They could have had a cardiac procedure. They could have had a COPD exacerbation. They could have had some sort of abdominal surgery, and they just need a tune-up after they've had whatever procedure they've had on the acute care side to come to an inpatient rehab for 8 to 10 days, with the ultimate goal of getting these people back home. And the one thing I always like to stress about acute rehab is we're just part of the journey. It's not like I say we get 86% of our patients home, but that's not the end of their rehab journey. A lot of those folks are then going to go on to a home health setting or ultimately an outpatient setting. And it would probably be 6 to 12 months before they're actually functioning at an independent level where they're not receiving some sort of post-acute service.
Yeah, that's really good. We have also lots of cases with orthopedic, let's say post-fall related, and then we have those medical cases like that caused by UTI and other comorbidities that ended up in like orthopedic. That's why they have fracture.
Right.
So yes, I agree so much. That's very important, the stroke. So when they have a question, Steve, let's say, oh, I don't want to go acute. I just want to go home. I want to go straight to home. I just want home health people comes to me. So what will be the educational piece for that they will benefit with acute care?
I mean, obviously, there are a large percentage of acute care patients that are fine to go home. And matter of fact, the vast majority would skip our type of setting. But I would always recommend, if there is a physician on the acute care side that says, you know what, you should go for an evaluation with the acute care therapist and see if maybe it is a good chance for the acute rehab. It's an intense level of therapy. What differentiates us from like a skilled nursing facility is the amount of therapy someone would receive. Someone like Jenny would be part of the team, physical therapist, occupational therapist, and speech therapist. You're going to get 3 hours of therapy up to 5 days a week. And that makes a big difference. I hear it on both ends. People say 3 hours doesn't sound like a lot. Well, if you've had a surgical procedure or some sort of orthopedic fracture, 3 hours is a lot to handle. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I hear people say, well, I don't do anything prior to this. I don't want to do any sort of therapy. Well, that can start you back. I'll always discourage a sedentary lifestyle, but working on that cardiovascular conditioning to be able to just stand up and walk again. People don't realize how much laying in a hospital bed takes out of you. So, and I've seen statistics where it just 24 hours in bed can take a week of recovery, and there's all sorts of different studies that talk about that. So a lot of the stuff we're doing, you're not in a weight elliptical machine or on a bike or something like that. A lot of that is just the therapist getting you up and walking in a hallway just to see what's your lung capacity now, what's your heart rate going to go up to, what's your blood pressure going to do. And it's us measuring those things, doing it safely so that we have a baseline for that home health agency or that outpatient center to take over. And our length of stay is not long. I always stress what our average length of stay is 8 to 10 days. We can achieve an enormous amount in 8 to 10 days that we can get you back to home rather than, going straight home and then something bad happening and wind up back in the ER, where a lot of it is us just trying to make it a more successful discharge home to avoid an ER revisit.
Yes, yes. And especially we have great case managers that will going to explain to you, give resources, the different flow, and then also from us as a physical therapist, occupational, we have the group of speech pathologists as well, and then the caseworker, great nurses as well. But what do we need right now that we will be opening? Are you still looking for some staff? I know you're so busy hiring on the other building.
I think I'll say something that probably 100% of healthcare executives will say across the country fast. What sort of staff do you need? We need nurses. I mean, that's the reality. We'll be ready to open. We will have a nursing team, but as I said, we can always use more nurses, and that's the industry in general. I'm a firm believer that maybe we need to start at a younger age, whether that's at the high school level, and trying to make healthcare more attractive. It is a field that is only growing. The pandemic made it grow even faster than anticipated. So we need healthcare professionals in all allied health, but I will always stress that nursing field is in dire need of individuals. I think it's an extremely rewarding career. So that will always be my push. And that's kind of where I started out, was as a recruiter going many moons ago in the late 90s was my first role on the acute rehab side. So
yes. And I see some posts right now that we're having some hiring, virtual things, interviews, and also even JB, which is our great director of rehab. She's also looking for some physical therapist assistants, something like that. It's a great team as well. And then how about the difference? I just saw the building, and this is my second day during our training. Amazing technology nowadays. What will be the difference of our new hospital to the previous hospitals that you work with? So technology-wise or things like that.
Well, I've a couple things come to mind. One, I've many of the buildings I've worked in were 50 plus years old. So now being in a brand new building where it's 100% private rooms, this will literally be the first IRF I've worked in that's 100% private rooms because it's been built so recently. You mentioned the technology front. Bay Health has been a great partner for us. But now we're going to have a lot more space, and that's not a criticism of Bay Health at all. It's just our opportunity now to have a larger gym, to be able to roll out a lot more of that technology. I saw the folks training on the Tyro Motion, which I can see what individuals working with both balance and cognition at the exact same time and trying to replicate some activities for patients. The space. I think the other thing is, being in an acute care center, a lot of times the patients kind of feel trapped in their rooms. There's not a lot of public space in Bay Health just because of the nature of the business that they have and coming online during the pandemic. Our new building is going to have a lot more free space in it for families and visitors and stuff like that. It's a different design. It is designed for a post-acute recovery setting. So I think I'm really excited about the day room for the patients and some of the free space that we have in the building where families will come in and be able to spend time with their loved ones while they're going through recovery.
Yes, yes, really good. And then also there's a bariatric day big room, and then there's a different like top bench in each room. You know, we will not no longer look for another top bench
Right.
available in each room.
We'll be
That's
able
really
to,
good.
every room will be outfitted for the patient's individual needs, and we will have a lot of equipment for at their beck and call.
Yes, that's really awesome. And congratulations again. And then how about this coming our opening? So when it will be and when it will be live?
So right now we are tentatively scheduled for October 8th. There are still a few more regulatory hurdles that we need to get through. So that it isn't a matter of if we get through those. So those hurdles will be crossed. It's just we're hoping that everything is going to line up for that October 8th date. Things as of today, right now they are, but until we're actually bringing a patient into the building, I'm still going to call it tentative. And I believe I've been saying that since day one. We are having our ribbon cutting on October 3rd. Regardless of what happens, if there's a potential delay or not, but that will be the big day. We are going to have some public speakers coming for that event on the Bay Health campus. We expect some media coverage as well of that. So, but that October 3rd is the ribbon cutting with the expectation of opening up on October 8th, and the opening day one will be literally transferring the patients over from the Bay Health unit into our building. So that will be the plan, and however many patients are in the unit that day, they're all coming over with us.
Amazing. What, almost 2 weeks, is it? Or 3 weeks?
We are at 2.5 weeks out.
Yeah, very, very close. Yeah, it's really beautiful. What I like the most when I just went to Bay Health is the mirror, the glass itself, the window that you can see the nature. And then I was so nervous. Oh, I will miss this and things like that. But when we're during the training the other day, you still have the visibility of the clouds. I still have the greens. And then we are now seeing our beautiful Sussex Bay Health in the corner, which we cannot see before because we're inside. So that still is strategically very beautifully still located. So that's really good. And then we have as well an outpatient, although it will not be live this year. What's the plan about our outpatient, Steve?
Well, the plan will be hopefully sometime before the end of 2024, we'll be opening the outpatient center. It will be on the first floor of the building. The plan will be to provide physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy on an outpatient basis based on referrals from physicians from the community, both and also our own patients when they transition to that level of care. Some of our patients will be able to go directly from inpatient to outpatient. The other thing is we've referenced Bay Health multiple times. We're actually going to be sitting down with Bay Health as we get ready to open and have conversations. What are some gaps in some of the outpatient services that they're lacking? And it's actually our intention to assist Bay Health in picking up services that maybe they haven't been able to provide the previous years, and because they have a very nice outpatient center themselves. So we're actually going to meet with Bay Health and try to figure out what do they need assistance with and actually fill in those gaps to provide those services to the community.
Yes, yes. Shout out to Joshua Smith and also Scott, the great leaders of the Bay Health. So thank you so much, Steve, for this amazing interview. We learned a lot about you and also the upcoming post-acute. So what will be your tips to all listeners that we would love to learn more about leadership? So what books or courses that maybe they need to begin with?
Well, I will say I'm not an academic. Typically, my reading has been I typically am reading trade journals. I'm not a big book person, but as far as experience and you talk about the classroom, I'm a big proponent of those actual clinical experiences. When you do those rotations, really put your full foot in, talking specifically to therapists, whether that's PT, SLPs, or OTs. Obviously, part of your curriculum is you have to do those clinical rotations in settings. Take those seriously, take those opportunities to learn about different things. I would encourage every therapist to spend time both in an IRF, maybe do some time in some long-term care, maybe work with some pediatrics, work on the acute care side. There's needs for therapists even prior to our level of care in a Bay Health setting or a Christiana or something like that. So take those those situations and opportunities seriously, those clinical rotations. And 99% of students I've worked with, and I like to have clinical affiliation students in the hospitals that I've run. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for senior therapists and folks who've been in the industry to learn something new from those. I shouldn't use the word kids, but take the opportunity to learn from those kids, because they're seeing the latest and greatest in their school setting. So take that opportunity to learn. And then once you're out of school, don't be afraid to treat a patient population you've never been with before. Buddy up with that doctor, buddy up with a therapist who has treated those patients, and step outside your comfort zone. Get to know your patients, get to know their families. Don't be afraid to ask the patient, what's your goal? What's your family's goals? What do you need to do? And it isn't just about getting in and out of the bathroom. Ask them, all those questions. Get to know your patients. And I think that's why most healthcare professionals go into it, and why clinicians enjoy being clinicians, whether that's a therapist or a nurse or a doctor. Being able to treat the human being is a big part of that. So I really stress the staff member patient relationship. I think that's the most rewarding part of our industry. So the more that we can do on that front, the better it is.
Yes, yes. And I give kudos to you with that. Your experience like that, you're also giving out to them your passion. Because when I was new, I keep thinking, although we are almost like overlap our time. And then I said, oh, is that our CEO? And then you're just waiting for what are you doing there, Steve? You're waiting for the tray because you would love to help the dietary, giving out the trays in each. You want to meet our patient in each room. And then one of our patients is asking, who's that guy in the suit? He gave me my food. Oh, that's our CEO.
Wow. I learned I had to do that out of necessity with a job a long time ago, to pass out meal trays, because we had a little bit of a staffing crisis in a kitchen. And this is going way back early in my career. And I discovered I liked it quite a bit. And it was the easiest. People like it when you're handing them food. So it's the best time to get and talk to a patient and ask them a couple quick questions, how their stay has been in the hospital. And the best way to improve a hospital is in any business, ask your customer, what can we do better? So while I'm taking in a meal tray, I can kill two birds with one stone. I can help one department and then ask a patient how they're doing and what we can do better. And, it's been something I've done it for a long time in my career, and I enjoy it very much.
Nice. But thank you so much, Steve, for all you do. You're giving us a positive outlook there. Good leadership there. And then I'm sure the nurses in Bea will miss you too, because we're going to the other building.
And I will miss them as well. It will be mutual.
All right, guys. So if you want to learn more about PAM Rehab Sussex, connect with us. And definitely, Steve, how can we connect with you? If they have any questions, they want to learn more and know you more, of course, how can they connect with you?
My LinkedIn profile is public, so someone can just reach out and drop me a message in LinkedIn, and I'm happy to, give them any sort of insights I have.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Steve. And thank you guys for listening. If you want to check us out, we are in Sussex. And then Pam is, Steve, tell us, where are we exactly?
PAM is located nationally. They're through quite a few states. I believe we're up to 85 hospitals nationally. But speaking locally in the Delaware market, our first hospital was in Dover. We built our second hospital in Georgetown in the southern end of the state. So now Milford will be splitting the difference about halfway between both those organizations. So we will have 3 hospitals in the state of Delaware covering the entire market to meet those patient needs.
Yes, yes. So guys, if you are based in Delaware locally, connect with us and check us out. So October 3 will be our opening. And then if you have any family members or you are a clinician yourself, we are all over. We have lots of PAM in different states. And you have an overview of what we do. And we are here in Delaware. So if you are in different setting, connect and refer to us, and we'll take care of your patients. All right. So thank you so much, guys, for listening. And thank you so much, Steve. And it's me again, Dr. Jenny Yusuf, physical therapist and Doctor of Physical Therapy, creator and founder of Balance and Fall Support Group, state advocate of Delaware, and then previous vice chair of Global Health in Aging Adults. See you again, guys. Thank you, and connect with us. Bye for now. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Jenny.
Welcome.